Good morning and welcome back to Building with the Boys. This is our review of the week. Now, if you'd have asked me this time last week, I'd have said we'll have a load to review this week. But we don't, because nothing turned up. The Disney Dolls House arrived, but that's it. Now, we have had dispatch notifications of literally everything. I think with the exception of the Route Master, we've had dispatch notifications over a week ago of R2-D2, Iron Man, Ecto-1, and Titanic. Well, I say we had a dispatch notification. We had a notification on Titanic that all of these things were going to be arriving this week, and they didn't. The Doll's House was the only thing that turned up. We got a notification from Hachette about the Titanic build, telling us that there was a shortage of parts, magazines. They actually said there was a shortage of magazines, and they were reprinting it. I don't really believe that. I think we're just being held up to be in line with the availability in the supermarkets. Something tells me when number 6 is released in stores, newsagents, supermarkets, magically they'll have stock and then ours turns up. That's what I think's going on. It's fine, I say, on a 140 part model, for us to be delayed already doesn't really fare well, does it? So 5 is available. 5 is available in supermarkets. I nearly bought one on Friday, but I can't keep doing that because it's like, I'm just duplicating everything. If it was a part where I think to myself, well, there might be some some value in having a duplicate of that, I'd have bought it. But there isn't. I mean, there's very little to do in issue 5. It's a part of the bow. It's the starboard side of the bow, the lower bow, and some very small parts for the engine. And again, I mean, this is one of those kind of annoying things that Partworks do. So you saw how much you got in pack 3, where you built the entire engine. It doesn't look like that's going to be the narrative going forwards. It looks like when it comes to building one of those engines, what we got in one pack in 3 will actually be spread out over multiple packs, along with parts of the hull. Now, I don't mind that, because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to just keep building hull. I mean, we've got to, because we've got to build, what's essentially 9 feet of hull, 4.5 feet each side. So I quite like the fact that if that's how they're going to do it, here's a bit of hull and here's something else. Quite like that. Rather than just, because otherwise we'd have months where it would be, when we're up to 4 parts a month, it would be a case of here's just 4 parts of hull, and we're just going to go bang, 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 and it's done for a month. So I think it's nice that it gives them to mix it up. If that's how they're doing it, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It could be, it might not be. But we'll have to see. We will have to see what's how that's going to work out. But again, I'm not delirious about the delays, and it was very vague. There was no it's delayed by a week or delayed by 2 weeks. Just it's delayed. And I've spoken to them and said, I don't deal in vague. I'm going to need some answers. So, yeah, it is what it is. Disney Doll's House turned up, and again, it's a lovely thing. It really is. And we got 4, 5, and... well, I got 3, 4, 5, and 6. I already had a 3. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 turned up. And rather lovely it is too. We make the front door... I've actually got them here. We make the front door... well, we complete the front doors, because we have bits of this accruing. So we've got this front door section here. Now, the funny thing with this is, again, with those of you who know your Partworks, is we've built that, but we won't touch that for 2 years. So, honestly, you do not touch that part again for 2 years, almost at the end of this build. So it'll be beyond part 109 that will touch that, and we're on part 6. So it's a long time. But the reason, I mean, we know why they do this. The reason why they do this is so if you're doing this as part of the test, you've at least got something complete. So here's your part complete. And they do it with kind of like the Iron Man. You got the head and the hand and the boot, and it's completely out of sequence. So typically with the part work, the actual part work begins at part 5. That's normally where you start a part work for real. Part 5 is when you start, going onwards, which is why sometimes part 5 is wildly different than everything else you received in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. But Disney Doll's House is lovely. I mean, it is, and it's going to start going together fairly rapidly now, because we are still on the box of bits stage at this point. We have no structure at all. So we have a couple of internal walls. We've got that door frame we're not going to touch for years, and we've got some furniture. But I know in next month's delivery of 7, 8, 9, and 10, we will start assembling the room. Very basically, I think it's 2 walls get attached to a bottom frame, but we will start to have some structure, which is good, because then you've got, you know, you got a visual of what you're doing. And I think anybody that's going to drop out is going to drop out before you get to that point, which is always a shame. But yeah, it's nice to see you're actually building something, and you don't suffer from the frustrations I kind of get with, say, the Iron Man build, which is just a box of limbs. That's all it is. There's no frame there, and I think that's yeah, I think that's that can put some people off. Some builds do. I mean, some builds do this. The Bond Aston Martin, I believe. I don't know enough about it, so I might be completely wrong when I say this, but I believe that the James Bond Aston Martin was bits for a really long time, and it was completely out of sequence. You were kind of, now build this part, now build, and you're all over the place. And I believe I've heard the Ferrari is similar to that, which again is weird. So, I mean, for all of its faults, Ecto 1, for instance, for all of its faults, the one thing I will say is that it has been cohesive. It's been it's made sense. We started with the engine. We attached the engine to the front frame, and then started building onto it as the frame extended. Then we put the floor panels in, and we start. So it's made sense. It's been cohesive, and you can watch this model grow. And the Route Master is very much the same. The way you build the Route Master is you start with a rolling chassis and you build up from it. And that, I think that's good. That sort of keeps you going when something takes this long, rather than now build this and toss it in a box and forget about it for years. You know, I think when you've got the visual of, okay, this is now looking really good, it certainly helps. So we've had downtime this week because we haven't had loads to build. We really haven't, because it just hasn't turned up. Now, I don't think it's, with the exception of Titanic, I don't think the fault is completely on the companies, because I can see other people are receiving theirs, and my postal service is shockingly bad. To give you an idea of that, if you saw the Route Master video from last week, where I was sent the incorrect wheel arch, which I've got around here somewhere, I was sent 2 left wheel arches instead of a left and a right. So I've got 2 lefts and a right. Agora have sent me another one out. They're like, yeah, no problem, we'll send you one out. And I got the tracking details from it's Whistle, courtesy of Royal Mail. And I was told it'll arrive by 3 PM Friday. And I was like, okay. So I sort of lingered around on Friday waiting for this thing to turn up. Didn't turn up. The tracking details then changed to, it'll arrive by 3 PM Saturday. Saturday didn't turn up. So I think it's something with the postal service at my end. I don't think it's their end, because I'm watching this thing where it's gone, and it has gone all over the country. I'm like, you could have just delivered it to my house by the time it's to all of this, because it's gone literally, I mean, it's got the most just schizophrenic travel pattern. And I sort of, that's, why is this happening? And apparently it's because it's wherever their nearest depot has got, you know, processing room. I'm like, that's insane. In a world where we should be a bit more conscious about the carbon footprint of the journey this stuff's making, this thing has literally gone back and forth over 4 different depots. So I've seen it go from, say, I know it was in Exeter at one point, it went to Gatwick, from Gatwick it went to Eastbourne, from Eastbourne it went to Maidenhead, from Maidenhead it went back down to Exeter, it's gone back over to Gatwick. I'm nowhere near any of these places, by the way. So this is why I'm like, this is bizarre. So it has just been travelling on a loop. Whether or not it ever turns up, I don't know. But it's just in the system, and it's just on a giant loop. So it's frustrating when you're waiting for your parts and they don't turn up, but it is what it is. So in my downtime, what I did do was I built the Row-Life Big Ben model. Now, again, I know I said it on the video at the time, I know Big Ben is the bell, I'm fully aware of that, but the model is named the Big Ben model, so that's what I'm referring to as that. Rather lovely it is too. I'll show you this one just quickly. But you can see, here we go. That's actually lit up. There's LEDs inside this thing. So this is the Row-Life Big Ben model. And it's a lovely little thing, and it's made me actually want to get the rest of the architecture ones. The first architecture one that I've bought from Rolife. And I quite like it. So you can also get Tower Bridge, which I think I'm going to get. You can get the Arc de Triomphe, you can get the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I believe you can get the Taj Mahal. And there are a few others, but I really like it. I mean, normally I build the little robots and the little music boxes and things like that. So I kind of overlook these things, but I wanted to do something again. I wanted to do something British. We build a lot of American-based models or Japanese-based models, and I wanted to do something just British. So there was Big Ben. I thought, oh, how very nice. And lovely it is too. And again, if you've not done one of these, give it a go. Honestly, I mean, that one I think cost me about £14, £15. You get everything you need to build it, so you don't need to go and buy anything. There's no wood glue used on that at all. This whole thing is just it's ingenious how some of this works. It really is. So wooden dowels slot through and the whole part's in places, and it is just pushed to fit. You do have to be careful because again, if you're going to go on ham-fisted, you're going to snap these parts. But it's a lovely thing, and it'd be a good introduction to the kind of the wooden model side of things. Because, I mean, wooden modelling is forgiving when it comes to fit, for instance. Like, if you're building one of these partwork cars and something doesn't fit, or the hole's been bored out wrong, you've got a lot of problems, because when you're dealing with metal. Whereas this wood's malleable. So, I mean, you can bend this stuff. You learn where the breaking points are and things like that, which is why I'm quite confident with the Disney house, because I've been building these wooden models. You can see them on the shelf over there. I've been building these wooden models for years. So it's I'm familiar with the materials, and it's why I didn't really have problems with that door. Those Disney doors I showed you, a few people said that they've had a world of problems with, and I'd say the biggest problem with it is holding it. When you're trying to put the pins in to hold the doors, picking it up, lining the pin up, getting the pin in is not the easiest thing to do. That's what I found difficult. The instructions to put it together, I thought were incredibly basic, but the most difficult part I found was, like I said, was holding the doors in place. You need a third hand, basically. You need one hand to hold it, one hand to hold the doors closed, and a third one to push the pin in. And I think that's the problem. That I assume that's the problem that most people are facing with it, because I can't see what's difficult about it. I really can't. But yeah, I mean, it's very different to other part works. It's incredibly different, because on a standard part work, we would have screwed that into place. We would have had MP screws and done. And I think maybe that's what was going on there. I don't know. Anyway, we do have Ecto-1, Iron Man, and R2-D2 due to arrive next week. Whether or not they turn up, I don't know. I hope they do. I really hope they do, because I'd just like to get moving on Ecto-1 particularly. I just want to get moving on Ecto-1 again, because the progress has slowed down to a crawl. It really has. And for all there, we got loads of stock. Really, because I'm not seeing the evidence of that at the moment. But we'll see. There are new models coming onto the market. Well, I say they're coming onto the market. There are new models running tests. And there was one that broke last week. I don't have pictures of this. I mean, I can get pictures of it, but I'm not gonna rob someone else's pictures. But there's a Batman coming from Hachette, which is currently being trialled in France. Whether or not this goes to a full build, I don't know, because Hachette are testing a lot at the moment, and it makes you wonder, well, how many are you going to release in one go? How many are you going to have running at any one time? Because that seems, I don't know, that seems a lot. So it's a half-scale Batman, so it's going to be, I would imagine, 3'1", 3'2", something like that. And it's as far as I can see, it's a static figure of Batman. Now I'm guessing because Terminator did well, that's why we're seeing more of these now. But it looks like this is the way a lot of these companies are going. It used to be vehicles, that was pretty much it. I mean, you get the occasional oddity, like they had the astrology thing. But typically it was vehicles. It would be cars, boats, planes, tanks. But we're seeing more of these kind of unique things now, along the lines of the Terminator and the Alien, which is currently in test running in France. Iron Man Robocop, which again has gone to a full run in France, but I believe is due to be trialled here. And Batman is now joining that crew. The strange thing about these as well is there's no consistency with the scale. So Terminator, I believe, is sold as a half scale. It isn't. It's not half scale. I think it's just under that. Iron Man's got no scale at all. They don't mention what scale he is. I think if I had to at a push, I'd say it's a third scale. I think, because he's about 2 foot, which would make him about 6 foot. Yeah, about a third scale. The alien is supposed to be a half scale, but it looks like it's much bigger than that. Because unless I don't know, I'm sure Giga fans will go, well, I think you'll find they were this big. I'm like, okay, but unless that alien was about 9 foot tall, that model looks bloody huge compared to a Terminator. It is gargantuan. Now I know aliens were tall. I think they were about 7 foot. I don't know, but that model looks massive, and I appreciate he's crouched over. But if you straighten him out and I'm stood upright, that is a bloody big model. And then Batman's half scale. So we've got a half scale, a third. So you're not going to be able to display your Batman next to Iron Man. Now it is 2 different companies. Because Hachette are doing these ones, and it appears Hachette are going in the half scale route. Whereas the likes of your D'Agostini or in France, your Altaires are going for a kind of third scale, more figure size rather than scale model. And that brings me to another one that they've just been servicing in France this week. Altair, who typically end up being Fanhome or D'Agostini over here, are also trialing an Optimus Prime build, which I find a little bizarre. Now I've got an image of it, so take a look at this, and this is the image I've got of the Optimus Prime build. Now, I don't know a ton about it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. But it doesn't transform. I mean, that's the one thing I can tell you. It does not turn into a truck. It's just a model of Optimus Prime as you know sentient as a being. And if you like Transformers, you're going to be all over this, I've no doubt. I just don't like these figures. I don't like building these figures. I am very tempted by the alien. I would like to get the alien. I think the alien is gorgeous, but I think Robocop have no interest in. Iron Man has put me off building these things. It really has, because it's just dull. And I know full well if I bought Robocop and I'm spending a year building his legs, I'll be angry at myself, not at the model, because I knew what was coming. I knew what to expect. I don't want to spend a year building legs. I just don't. And Optimus Prime is going to be exactly the same. So there's no. You have to think. I mean, you have to think about what is actually involved in that figure, because it's never going to stand up. I mean, Transformers. In the movies, Transformers would not stand up. They wouldn't. If you look at it, if you look how top heavy they are, and they've got this tiny waist and these really spindly legs, there's no way those things could stand up. They'd fall over. So this thing is I can't see it standing on its own. It's gonna need a frame and a stand to do that. But also, I think again, I think probably a good 40–50% of this model is just going to be very, very slowly building legs. Not interested. Not interested. So it's not for me, but I'm sure there are people out there whose eyes have lit up at seeing this thing. And maybe if it did have the ability to transform into the truck, it might be something, well, that's a bit more unique. But it doesn't. It's literally the figure of him. Another one that's been doing the rounds, but I know it's not new. It's not new at all, but for some reason people have started talking about it again, so I don't know if France have said they're going to full run with it, as I've started seeing posts about the Star Destroyer. Now, they tried a Star Destroyer about a year ago in France, from Star Wars, the Star Wars Star Destroyer. And I've seen people started getting excited about that again. So I don't know if they're trying it again, or if there's rumours that it's gone to a full run, but I don't know. Altair particularly do trial a lot of things that don't go to full run, and I've seen quite a few of them that it just hasn't happened. They did the Imperial Walker, that never went to a full run. So I don't know. I mean, I genuinely don't know if that's going to be a 4 or not. But for some reason there is a lot of noise around the Star Destroyer again. If that's your thing, go for it. But again, I've got a feeling that that X-Wing that a lot of people built, I'm glad I skipped that one. I very nearly built that X-Wing. A lot of people hated that model, hated it. By the end of it, couldn't stand building it, which is quite sad, really, because it should have been, that thing should have been a joy, I guess. But I think making those 4 wings bored people rigid. Again, with D'Agostini, there was a world of excuses why people weren't getting their parts. A 2-year build turned into a near 3-year build, and I think it just kind of soured a lot of people. But no, that's what's going on there. But that's about all for this week. Hopefully we'll have a lot more next week. And we're going to look at a few other bits and pieces that we can do. I got some news about Disney coming up, which I'll save for next time, and a few other bits and bobs. I've got something about Harry Potter as well, which yeah, I'll save till next time, because I'm not 100% yet. Once I can 100% it, I'll let you know. But I don't want to tell you something that, you know, isn't true. So we will have, next week, we will have, I'm keeping the faith, we will have Ecto-1 and Iron Man next week on the channel. It's going to be another, like 3 weeks till Disney. And then 2 weeks time we should have Rootmaster. R2-D2 is going to slot somewhere in between. And if I do get the replacement part for the Rootmaster that was missing, I'll do a mini video of that and we'll catch up with it. I've still got more of the Real Life Dolls House to do, and I do have another wooden robot time kit coming, so we'll have those as well. Stay safe, and in a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice, and I'll see you next week.